Today on the Dance Reel podcast, I'm speaking with Suvi Salmi. Suvi is a dance studio entrepreneur and the owner of Suvi Salmi Dance Company, established in 2019. Dancer, teacher, and choreographer from Finland. She holds a Master's of Arts degree in theatre and drama research. Suvi is a licensed international IDO adjudicator and chairperson of the Performing Arts Division in Finnish dance organisation FDO. Suvi started dancing at the age of 8. Suvi shares some wonderful pearls of wisdom and conversation that we have around leadership in dance, adjudicating in dance, being a dance studio owner, and her transition from dancer to teacher, choreographer, and studio owner. She is a real advocate for helping people find their authenticity in this industry. I know you'll enjoy this conversation. Before we dive into this episode, I would love a favour from you. To help us bring some wonderful guests to our show and grow, please subscribe or follow this channel, like, comment, and share with a friend. That would be a great help. Thank you so much. Hello, Suvi. I'm so glad you took me up on the offer to be on my podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for asking me. I'm really excited about this and really honored to be a guest in your podcast.
And we had a wonderful time judging together in Germany recently.
Yes, we did. Yes, we had a wonderful chemistry, and I just loved that we had the same values about dance. So
yeah, some really good discussions. And I thought, let's continue them on the podcast and people can enjoy learning from your experience. So welcome. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.
Just to give the audience some background, what first drew you into dance and what do you remember most vividly about your early training?
I think that I've always been a performer since childhood, and not only in dance, because I've always loved to speak in public. I've loved dancing, singing, acting, playing different roles. So I have a lot of old childhood VHS videos of me performing by myself and to my parents. And so performing has always been a passion of mine. But I think that when I was a child, I was too shy to make the decision by myself to start taking dance classes. So I have my mother to thank for gently pushing me into dance, because without her, I wouldn't have made the decision to go and start taking classes. And I remember from the very first dance classes, which I took when I was 8 years old, I remember enjoying the movement and also especially the different emotions and roles and storytelling that were included in the classes. And I was always waiting for the next performance that we would have, because the performing was really, really intriguing for me from the beginning. And after I had started taking the dance classes, I started competing only after 2 years of dancing. So the competition world happened really quickly for me when I started dancing.
So with the trajectory of dancing and then performing, what was that like moving into the role of teacher and now studio owner?
Yeah, well, actually, when I was younger or even as a young adult, I never dreamt about teaching dance or choreographing. I just wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be told what to do, how to do it, and I wanted to be the one to step into the different roles, both through dance and theater. But there was this one really influential person in my life when I was 24 years old. I was still taking dance classes, competing in dance, performing, and at the same time I was studying theater research at the university. And at the dance school where I was a student at the time, there was this teacher from the United States called Joaquin Escamilla, and he was teaching us for 1 year. And he really saw something in me that I hadn't seen in myself before. He saw that I was working well with the other students. I was always ready to help, ready to answer questions, ready to teach or assist the classes if a teacher was injured or something. And he saw the pedagogical side of me that I really hadn't seen in myself before. And then at the point when he returned to the United States after teaching for us for 1 year, I took over all of his classes and started to teach right away with 14 classes per week. So I really jumped right into it. And I
Mm.
remember for the first couple of months, I was really scared and overwhelmed by all of it. But just after a couple of months, it was really smooth sailing and I felt that I was right where I needed to be. But without Joaquin, I really don't know
Yeah,
would
wow.
any of this even have happened. I don't know.
Yeah, wow. And when you were younger as a performer, what shaped your artistic voice and later informed how you teach and choreograph? Is there anything that you draw on?
I think that one of the main influences was when I was maybe 14 to 15 years old. I started working as a dancer, even
Mm.
that young, in the Arctic Circle in Santa Claus's village. There
Yeah,
is an amusement park called Santa Park.
yeah,
And the dance school where I was dancing at the time, we had a dance show there during the day, 7 to 8 times a day, a 15-minute dance show, which was physically very, very demanding. And we also had shows in the evening for all the tourists.
yeah.
And I really got to see what the dancers' work is like. I really got to see
Mm.
both the glamorous side of it, but also the really rigorous and draining side of it. Because by the end of the day, it's a job like any other, of course.
Yes.
It's really physically and mentally demanding, a lot of repetition, a lot of waiting, a lot of getting bored and everything. So I think that the mixture of both of those sides really, really intrigued me. And I wanted to do something like that also by myself. So I think that job opportunity was really, really important during those years.
And so what led you then, so in your teaching years, to then open your own studio? And what was the vision behind creating your studio?
Before I started my own studio, I had been teaching dance for about 6 years in various schools.
Yeah.
And I felt that I was basically between a rock and a hard place because I was really struggling with the fact that, in my opinion, almost none of those schools showed respect for their employees or for the students, because I felt that there were different rules for everyone. People were not being treated equally or with honesty, and the payment plans for each student was different. The
Oh.
salary was not according to the law. The working hours were problematic, and the way that they were giving feedback to us employees was quite inhumane, I could even say. So I was really struggling with the fact that I wanted to keep on teaching and I wanted to keep on giving my best self to my students, but I couldn't do it anymore because there were too many things going wrong, in my
Mm.
opinion.
Yeah.
So actually, the idea of starting my own dance studio, it came basically at the same time from my students and from my parents. This was
Yeah.
basically the same situation that I had with Joaquin Escamilla, that I hadn't thought about putting up my own studio, but the message was coming to me that
Yeah.
I need to do this now. So when I started up my own studio, I just thought that I want to do things differently and I want to create a space that is safe and equal to everyone, and that
Mm.
every employee is treated equally, and that there is open discussion. And also because a lot of the dance schools in Finland, we are businesses. We run on the client's or the students' money. We don't
Yeah.
get any grants or any funding from the government or art councils. We are businesses that we
Yeah.
try to run. So that's why I wanted to see my students as my clients who pay me and us for a service that we provide for them. So that's why I want to treat my employees and my students who are my clients as good as possible. So that was the
Mm.
main thing behind my own studio.
Yeah, beautiful. And what would you say have been like the difficult realities of starting and sustaining a school financially, logistically, emotionally? It's so involved, isn't it?
Everything is involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, well, in my school, we teach mainly young adults and adults, and actually, quite a lot of them are pre-professionals or professionals. So, from day one, I wanted to keep the dance school quite small and
Mm.
manageable,
Yeah.
and in that way, to make a clear divide to the other schools in my hometown, because we have a lot of dance schools in one city, so the competition for the students or the clients is quite strict. So I
Yeah.
wanted to concentrate on making it clear what I am offering for what
Mm.
ages in which levels. But with making this decision, I have had to realize that this is something that affects my dance school a lot
Mm.
financially,
Yeah.
because since we don't have any classes for absolute beginners or for
Yeah.
children or for youngsters, our clients have quite a lot of fluctuation, and we don't have the opportunity to see the dancers' development since the beginning or to keep them as a client from childhood to adulthood. So that has been financially straining at times. Standing out from everyone else and from all the other dance schools is such an important value for me that
Yeah.
I feel that I am ready to take on the financial hardships so that I can
Yeah.
maintain my values.
But it's still also in its early years. So that in any business is normal to have, what do they say it takes? If you can get past the first 2 years, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's what
And
they
then if
say.
it
Yeah.
takes the first 7 years, that's like another big milestone. So
Yes, it is.
when I had my dance school, I remember when it turned 13 years old, I was like, it's a teenager now. It's a teenager. And so that meant me as the director, I could step back a little bit more. And
Yeah.
then I sold it at 23 years, but before that, it's almost an adult. And I noticed with every growth phase, I stepped back in teaching and more in leadership roles of the whole ecosystem. But those first couple of years, it is all about working out who you are, what you're about, what your ethos is for your school, how you want your ecosystem, and then I think as well for studio owners, there's so many of us that think about the finances last because it's such a passion. And so we're driven by our love of people and artistry and education. And so managing that and then working out how to make a sustainable income from it so that you can keep going. It can be tricky in those first couple of years. I appreciate that. Mm.
Yes, it is really hard. And I think that I've witnessed so many situations during the years that people start off with values, but then when money comes into question, the values may go flying out the window.
Yeah.
And I will try to do whatever it takes to not become that kind of a dance studio entrepreneur, because I want to, I will try and keep my values, let's say that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a very tricky situation a lot of the times.
So, looking back, what do you wish someone had told you before you started your own studio, before you became the studio owner?
I wish that someone had told me that I should really try and enjoy and make the best of the days and the weeks that feel smooth and easy, because almost at least every month, but almost even every week, there is something going on. There is a new fire to put out. When the last one is done, the
Yeah.
second one is coming already. And
Yeah.
sometimes they can be, it can be a one one small thing or a lot of smaller things, but usually it is something really huge that you
Yeah.
have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to predict anything that has happened
Yeah.
throughout the years. I remember when I had to write my business plan and think about different threats that would maybe concern my dance school at some point. COVID was not
Yeah.
among the threats that I wrote down, or this recent situation that we had, that a cleaning company was cleaning our dance floor the wrong way, and it
Yeah.
made it so slippery that it was dangerous to keep the dance classes for a really, really long time. And it was a huge ordeal, and it's
Yeah.
still a little bit going on, but now we are in a much better phase. But so surprising things happen, and I just wish that I had enjoyed the calmer and more easier months or seasons a little bit more than I have, because I have learned during these years that I cannot take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Not anything. So I wish that I had just, of course, I have enjoyed running my own dance studio, and
Yeah.
all these hardships that I've endured. I wouldn't do it any other way, but I still wish that I had enjoyed some of the moments a little bit more than I have when I have just been stressing about what's going to happen next.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember feeling like a firefighter. Just like every week you're just putting out a fire. Especially I noticed for me, the bigger the school got, and then the less I moved more into leadership, especially in the last couple of years, because I also had my son. So I moved out of a teaching role. And I remember having a moment where I was feeling like I'm only needed to put the fires out. And I felt this real like down feeling. I wasn't there choreographing or having the joy because I'd let that part of my role go. And so I remember questioning, how can I bring that creativity into a leadership role also while still nursing a baby? And this was during COVID as well. So when he was 6 weeks old, we went into lockdown, and it was like, oh my goodness me. But you get there, I suppose, in that digging deep for the creativity, so you're not feeling like a firefighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm. How do you manage boundaries with dance parents? Because especially I know for competition schools, sometimes people want to get involved. What's your model of dance parent inclusion, and what's their role in your school?
Well, actually, I think that I have gotten off quite easily,
Yeah.
because I haven't felt any pressure um or parents contacting me all the time or pushing me into communication when I'm not working.
Yeah.
So I think it's just all about the open discussion and setting also boundaries
Mm.
honestly and with compassion, and so that everyone is going by the same rules. So I think
Mm.
that is just maybe because my dance school is quite small. We have about 130 to 140 students, so it's a really small school. So I think that is also a thing that helps me
Yeah.
with all the other stuff also. Yeah.
It's important, isn't it, to have those boundaries? And even speaking to you, like when we had conversations, getting to know each other, I really noticed that you have high empathy. You definitely have boundaries without it being prickly or anything. You're just
Mm.
that real self-assured, um, humble confidence. I noticed that about you. And that's really important in leadership, isn't it? Not to be apologetic for having boundaries. Sometimes I
Mm.
find people with high empathy can then feel not very confident saying, no, sorry, I can't talk to you right now. Or I'll give you a phone back call later. They feel almost obligated to go, oh, yep, sure. How can I help? I noticed that about you straight away. Have you reflected on that in yourself as a leader?
Yes, I have, and I've also learned a lot
Yeah.
during the past maybe 3 to 4 years, because I've been the one to not set any boundaries and to always say, yes, I will do that, even though I'm completely overwhelmed and I have too much going on. But of course, I will do that because you are asking me to do it. But now
Mm.
I have a completely different mindset, maybe learning that saying no is not a rejection or a negative thing all the time. It's also a positive thing, because then when I make the right decisions, I will have more energy to do the things that I really need to do.
How would you describe your core values that guide your teaching philosophy today?
I love to give personal feedback to the dancers, and I think that is a really, really important thing to do. And in a way that not comparing the dancer to others, but
Mm.
focusing on the dancer's own background, own development, and own journey, and focusing on what they can improve on and not compare to the others, but staying within that person and their own journey. Also, one of the main values that we have in my dance studio is that in each class we do warm up, conditioning, stretching, technique,
Mm.
choreography. We don't have any choreography classes. We have
Oh,
separate
okay.
technique classes, but we still cover all of those areas in every class. So I wanted
Great.
to keep the class as interesting as possible, and also to keep all the different, I don't know the word, the different parts involved in the class, so that it's not just about the choreography, but
Mm.
making the body ready to do things that are demanded in the choreography. And also, we don't film the classes or our students at all, because I really do not want to do it. Sometimes, of course, we film the choreography when we want to analyze the movement
Yep.
in groups, or if
Yeah.
we want to see the development of the dancers, or if we want to memorize the choreography for future use. Of
Yeah.
course, we will do that. But if you look at our social media pages, you won't find one single video of me or of the students, because we don't do any videos for the social media, because I want the students to be able to concentrate on the learning process and to feel as safe as possible in the studio. So that is not a place where we film and put on a show for everyone else every week, but we try to concentrate on what we are doing by ourselves and with each other. So that is one main core value that I will never, never give up on, even though I would have to shut down the whole school because we don't do any social media. I don't care.
I'm sorry, I just have to take a moment. This is like music to my ears. This is gold. I remember in the last couple of years of owning my school, there was a teacher that wanted to film and put everything on social media and then make these videos of it. And I was like, I remember walking in thinking, am I getting really old? Like,
Mm.
and I didn't think I was. I was about 40 at the time. I'm 44 now. But I just thought, well, but aren't we here learning? And I had to shut that down. Not every class has to end with a big filming that's going to go on socials, and also social media policy like child safety. I was just like, no, can we just, do we have to film every lesson I'd walk in? Oh, and it's such a trend. I really love that you are standing firm to not doing that. That's amazing. And how do your
Yes.
students feel about that? Do they want to put it on socials or
No, they love it. And they
oh,
have
great.
got and they have got accustomed to it, like, because we
Mm,
don't do it, even though they might take classes in some other schools who do
yeah,
it. But then when
yeah.
they come to my school, they just get accustomed to it, that no, we don't film. And then actually a lot of the students have come to me and said that actually I don't want to film myself anymore because we don't do it here. So you get used to what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't you think that would really make the dancer just be like, we're training to be performers anyway, to be performing, but to also have that intrinsic motivation and connection to your heart, to your soul, to you, to your authenticity as a dancer. If you always got someone filming you, like, I just think you risk losing that.
Yeah, that is true. That is true because it's so important to also look inside of yourself
Yeah.
to find the artistry and the dancer in you. So you can't always be performing to the outside world. You also have to think about what is inside of you. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool leadership. I really like interviewing people when they are going against the norm, whether I agree or not. I respect it. I actually agree with you though. They're going against the norm and they're really thinking outside of the box and they're just creating their own ecosystem based on their values. And you really are doing that authentically. That is awesome. Congratulations. I love that.
Thank you.
What approaches help you nurture both discipline and joy in your students' training?
Well, when I was talking about giving the individual feedback, I think that when feedback is given with empathy and
Mm,
with recognizing that each student is different, their body is different, their alignments are different, their muscles are different, what they have trained before, have they ever gotten any personal feedback before? So I think it's the best feeling in the world when I see that through the feedback, the student themselves realizes that they have now learned something new and that they are getting stronger and better with each passing class. And I always try to, when I'm giving feedback, I acknowledge both the wins and the losses, so to say.
mm,
So giving also personal feedback, not only to make adjustments or corrections, but also for giving praise. And
mm.
I usually try to remind of my students of all the accomplishments and the hard work they have done over the years. I like to compare the students to themselves, like
Yeah,
maybe 1 year ago, 2 years ago,
yeah,
if it is a student that I have taught for a couple of years or maybe even 10 years, because I think
yeah.
that looking back into the past, but also looking ahead to the future is so important to keeping the motivation of the students and for keeping their spirits up so that they can see that change is ongoing. It might be slow at some points, but you can see the change when you train something like dance. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. How do you mentor teachers and or assistants so that your studio cultures and standards remain cohesive?
Yes, I think that during these 6 years that I've run my own dance studio, I believe that people have heard it through the grapevine, like what values we
Yeah.
have and how I run my business, how we take care of our employees. So that is why I feel like the like-minded people find us more easily, like both the teachers or the people who work at our office, for example.
Yeah.
They are the right people who apply to work for us because they have the same values that we have. But of course, I always try to maintain an open and honest communication with all of my employees because I feel like I have nothing to hide
Yeah.
when it comes to my teachers or my desk clerks or my students even. I
Yeah.
want to set an example for all of them that truth and openness makes everything so much clearer and easier because I haven't done that
Mhm.
for my whole life. I have only done that for the past 3 to 4 years to speak my truth and
Yeah.
stay open and honest with people. And I feel like it has brought so much good things into my life and made my life so much better that I find that when I do that myself, also the people around me, the teachers, the students, they do the same in return. And I try
Oh,
and set an example about it.
I felt that. That is really powerful. I appreciate you speaking to that because I feel like that can be a leadership dilemma of being performative, being of service, that how can I, sure, sure. And it almost puts on this mask and
Yes.
can actually risk being authentic with our, let's say, customers, with our dance parents, with our students. And it's like, I look at how much of my own leadership I was in being of service, being
Mm.
performative instead of just being me, and trusting me and my leadership. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it has been a thing that I've had to learn. Like it
Mm,
hasn't been easy, and I also remember a lot of those years where I've been performing all the
mm.
time because there has been a lot of difficult things going on. For example, in my personal life,
Yeah.
when I've been at work, and I've just pushed that all aside.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not good to like push it all like to the students. Of course, there has to
Yeah.
be some boundaries.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I realize that, but still being honest and showing them that we are all here together and we are
Yeah.
all people with emotions and problems, but still we can
Uh,
manage and we can
yeah.
still do this when we are here together and we are speaking the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, I love hearing that authenticity in leadership. Sometimes it just takes some honesty and self-reflection to
Yes.
push through some of those things. Mm. So, I'd love to move into your judging job now. That's something that you're also very, very skilled at. So, when you're judging, what qualities immediately distinguish a technical, strong dancer from a truly expressive performer for you when you're judging?
I feel that the way a dancer carries themselves and the way they walk into the stage, I dare to say that I can almost immediately spot if the dancer is technically trained or not.
Yeah.
Because there is a certain sureness and grace about a
Mm.
dancer who has gone through the different motions hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times before
Yeah.
stepping onto the stage. So that is something that can be seen in the way the dancer walks and the way that the dancer is standing in front of the audience and in front of the judges. But I think that the tricky part sometimes is how to combine strong technique with storytelling and
Yeah.
performance, because for me as an adjudicator, I want to see a person
Yes.
dancing, not a machine.
Yeah.
So a strong technical background is needed so that you can connect the emotions with the movements, but it's not that easy
Yeah.
all the time. And I personally love a strong technical dancer, but without performance, without emotions, without charisma, it rarely works for me. I
Mm.
need to see both of them at the same time. And then if I have to make the decision which one means the more, to me personally, it's always the expressiveness and the
Yeah.
performance and the storytelling. Yeah, every time.
Yeah. So, how do you balance objectivity and empathy when scoring routines, especially in age diverse categories?
Objectivity is, of course, a really important value for me when judging. And I also resonate with the word empathy, but not in a way that my job as an adjudicator would be to please anyone,
Mm.
because I
Mm.
am there to give comments, give scores, and to put the dancers in order
Yeah.
because it's a competition. So in Finland, for example, when we are learning how to judge dancers and choreographies, we use a scale from 1 to 10 in
Mm.
3 different dimensions: technique, composition, and image.
Yeah.
And we try to use the whole scale for each dimension and each category in a competition. So for me, number one doesn't mean the worst dancer I have ever seen in my life. It means that the dancer was weakest in this specific dimension compared to the other dancers in that category in
Yeah.
this competition. So the points for us Finnish judges, they don't mean anything by themselves, but they
Yes.
are a tool to put the dancers in order in all of the three dimensions that we are
We should
looking
probably
at.
explain to like our Australian audience, and there's UK and even American audience, about you and Marco really educated me on how IDEO, how the best way to use the scoring system is to really pull the scores apart. Can you explain that? Because there'll be some people that think that, well, hang on, the score is for the student to receive what their score is out of, say, 100 or whatever, but that's not how it's recommended to use the scoring system in IDEO. So can you explain
Yes.
that?
Yeah. So I would actually say that when we use the scale from 1 to 10, if you can see the way the judge has used the scale for each of the dancers, for each of the pieces that they have judged, then you can see maybe the logic behind it, because you can see that the judge has used all of the numbers. So in that way you can see, have you been among the weakest, maybe
Yeah.
3 to 5 dancers, or are you somewhere in the middle or
Yes.
with the highest ones? But if you just see your own points and not the points that the judge has given to the other dancers, then you might be totally overwhelmed, because you start to think that, okay, this is like the same scores in school, that 10,
Yeah.
10 is 10 is always the best, and 9 means this and 8 means this.
Yeah.
But it's not the way that we use the scale. So you should basically see how the judge has used the scale during the whole category, and not only
Yes.
the specific points that he has or she has given to you. But so it's a 3D system. So it's 3 dimensions: technique, composition, and image, and you use the scale from 1 to 10 in
Yeah.
each of those 3 dimensions. Yeah.
So technique is given. So composition, that includes choreography, the way you use the stage. Can you go, because I was
Yes.
like a VIP judge, so you know the rules more than me. Can you explain it?
Yeah. So composition is, for example, the movements that
Yeah.
have been chosen for the choreography, the way the choreography uses the stage, all the different levels, dynamics, the use of musicality, rhythm, timing, how the dancers are resonating with each other, if it's a duo or a trio or small group formation. Also, how the theme or the emotion that the dancer is trying to portray to the audience, how is that theme connecting with the movements and the music that has been chosen for the performance.
And the image is like costuming, grooming.
Yes, costuming, grooming, the charisma, the way the
Yeah.
dancer is relating to the audience, and also if the dancer is daring to be different and not the way everyone else is. That's also a really important thing, to make the dancer stand out from
Yes.
everyone else, because
Yes.
that is what they are personally doing when it's something that they are performing. Yeah.
Yes. That hopefully will give our audience a little bit of,
Yes.
and also with the IDEO competitions, there's no like a voice critique after, is there? It's just that scoring
No, it's
system.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's only the scoring, and that also makes it quite difficult, because the scores are difficult to understand when you are not the one who is using
Yeah.
the scale. So if you can only
Yeah.
see your own points, it might feel so devastating when that is not the truth.
Yes.
If you would
Yes.
speak to the judge or ask for feedback, because I'm always ready to give feedback if dancers
Yes.
want to ask why did you give me this score, or why did you see it like this. I will be more than happy to
Are
give
they allowed
personal
to come up
feedback.
to you and ask you that?
In Finland, we don't have a specific rule for that. They can do it after the competition, but it usually
Yeah.
goes through the office so that they can't contact us personally. But some of them have contacted me personally, and because they have been so eager and willing to maybe learn something new,
Yeah.
or know what could I do better, or how could I improve specific dimension, for
Yeah.
example, then I
Yeah.
am so happy to give feedback, because it's a good communication between the
Yes.
judges and the
There is.
dancers. So
Yes.
it's not only the scores, because we are all human. So there is a
Yeah.
lot more to say than just the scores. But actually in Finland, we have quite a lot of smaller competitions that are not the national competitions, but they are smaller competitions. And especially in those competitions, we might give the scoring, but we also give personal feedback to the dancers
Oh,
in
okay.
written form.
Yeah, right.
So if there is an age diverse category in those type of competitions, I will of course look at the dancers and judge them compared to their age and age ability, of course. Because
Yeah.
for example, in Finland, we have quite a lot of dancers who compete in adult 2 and adult 3 age categories. So that means that they are over 31 or
Yeah.
over 45 years old. So, of course, as a judge, I have to recognize what the body is capable of doing in regards
Yes.
of power, dynamics, stretch, balance, control, when the dancer reaches a certain age or hasn't reached a certain age yet.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to realize what the body is capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, in your opinion, what do you feel the current state of artistry, originality, and technique within the international competitions is currently like?
Yeah. I have been judging the international competitions now for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think actually social media has quite a lot to do with this
Yeah.
also, because during these past few years that I've had the opportunity to judge also internationally, I've seen so many amazing dancers and so many choreographies that truly bring something new to the table. But the way I see it is that when someone comes up with a new idea or a new way of choreographing or using the stage or moving the human body, there are always people who try to copy it
Yeah.
afterwards. And I think that it is something that you can see when judging the performance. Is it a copy of someone else's idea or someone else's realization of how to use the body, or if it is something that the dancer or the choreographer has originated by themselves.
Yes.
And I think that being artistic and original, it requires quite a lot of braveness. You have to be brave enough to try something different and to trust your instincts and set yourself apart from everyone else, because it can also be frightening to do different things for the first time, because when you are competing, of course you want people to understand your performance, you want them to appreciate it, but you can never know. It is
Yeah.
frightening to do things for the first time and differently, but I always believe that daring to be different is always a good idea.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea, and it will get the praise it deserves. Maybe not immediately, but after a couple of years, it will come. It will come.
I love that. Always daring to be different. Daring to be different is always a good idea. I love
Yeah.
it. So, what cultural differences have you noticed in dancers' training styles across countries? Because you are an international judge.
Yes, I think that in countries where the dance competition scene is really, really big, like let's say Poland,
Mm-hmm.
Slovenia,
Mm-hmm.
Germany.
Yeah.
I think in those countries where the dance schools really train the dancers for the competition world, I think that the dancers can really be seen as athletes. You
Yeah.
can see it from the sheer muscular power that the dancers have, that they have been coached like an
Yeah.
athlete, and they do a lot of strength training, gym,
Yeah.
Pilates, anything that can support the dancers' training and improve the physical capabilities. I hope that they also think about the nutritional side of everything.
Yeah.
And I especially hope that the mental training is taken into deep consideration, because it's so important to think about how to mentally prep the dancers even more for the tough competition world, and how to handle rejection, disappointments
Mm,
with slow progress,
yeah.
or whatever the difficulties that there is. I hope that the mental side of training and prepping yourself for the competitions is a thing that will keep on growing during these next years, because also for this, the social media is something that is affecting a lot of the mental well-being of dancers,
Yeah.
I think, because there is so much comparison between the dancers.
Yeah, and I often keep asking, how can we have competition without comparison, you know? Um, so it's that I keep encouraging dancers, focus on you, focus on what it feels like to dance, not what they're doing or what it looks like, or just keep focus on the feeling. But yeah, it's hard, especially in the competition scene, to not have comparison and then go on your phone and see what someone else is doing, and they're doing that trick, I might try and do that too. And yeah, it can be a
Yes.
endless trap. How would you advise dancers if they're about to do their first competition, like mentally and emotionally, like how to approach it?
I suggest that they look at it in a way that each competition is a chance to learn something new about yourself, like how your body is reacting to different situations, to different emotions that the competition excitement is bringing to you. So I
Mm,
really feel that it's a chance to learn something and then put the learning process into purpose the next time you are coming to the competition stage, so that you
mm,
are more ready every time you are willing to take the step and do something that may be really, really frightening at first. But I think that it will get easier if you spend the time to analyze all the different emotions and feelings that the competition has brought up inside of you, and you try
yeah.
to learn from it and also grow and make your mental capacity stronger for each time that comes next.
And how do you see the dance industry evolving in the next decade? And what values do you hope remain at its center?
I am again going back to the social media,
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm a bit scared of it.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to the dance industry and dance training, because in my eyes, the social media nowadays concentrates so much on learning choreography as quickly as possible and then putting on a show for
Mm,
everyone. And the social media doesn't show you the 10, 20, 30 years of the rigorous technical training that the dancer has gone through to put on the best show for everyone. So
mm,
I'm afraid that it will affect the viewpoint of new dancers who are just coming onto the scene, or who are just starting to take dance classes for the first time in their lives, that they might think that it only takes a year of going to choreography classes to master a certain discipline in dance without any technique or any conditioning training. Like, that is
yeah.
just, I feel that it is just so crazy to think about it. And my main hope is that when using social media to bring dance or dancing to the platform, I hope that dancing still remains a skill, a craft that you dedicate yourself into. It doesn't mean that you push yourself too hard, but that you remain humble and
Mm,
remember that it takes time to learn new skills, and you don't have to record your whole journey for other people to see. It doesn't have to be general knowledge. You
no.
can do it by yourself and with your friends and with other people who are in the same studio with you. They will guide you through it, and not the
Mhm.
other people who are looking at you from behind the screen. And
Yeah.
for me, dance is a form of art and
Yes.
a way to touch people, to connect, to speak out about something, to take a stand on something. And I think that remains as a core value
Mm.
in the next decade. I really
Oh,
do hope that. Yeah.
yeah. Suvi, it has been so lovely to interview you, and you're
Yes,
such
it
a
was.
wealth of information.
I
Yeah,
was so happy. This was so amazing, and I have so many different thoughts now in my head. Like
yeah.
I have to sit down for this for a little bit because this was so inspiring.
Oh, I think we should do another interview like next year when I'm back in Australia on
Yeah,
leadership or something like that, like
yeah,
stay in touch.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be so nice.
Well, thank you so much, and we will be connecting again soon.
Yes.
And I'll put in the show notes where people can find you if they want to reach out and start to, yeah, follow what you're doing on the gram. But there's no videos, people.
Yeah, so don't get too
You're
excited.
not going to see videos.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you, Suvi.
Thank you.